Ah, it was just off. Very good, very good. All right, I can see my mic's up, and we're live. Welcome.
What up, dude?
Yeah, you're live on stream. All right, here we are. Sorry about the intro there. A little rough today. Had a lot of messages coming in. Got Meat Shield joining us in chat, so he might tune in and holler at us a couple times. Maybe give us some opinions on his things. Together, I just had to finish one of these articles on here, so I think we're good to go now. Welcome everybody. This is Patriots View, episode 29. Next week, I'm gonna do an episode on Saturday, so it'll be. I better look at the calendar before I commit to something. 2nd, February 2nd, 3rd, February 3rd. Yeah, February 3rd, we'll be doing an episode, and that will be our 1 year anniversary of doing the Patriot View. So I'm pretty excited about that. I do have some giveaways and stuff lined up. So tell your friends to join us on that episode and get a chance to check out some good stuff. If you check the chat, the document that is pinned is the document that I will be discussing and following along for the show. So if you guys want to see any of the links or any of the topics I'm talking about, or come back and revisit that document does not expire. Click on that at any point in time to come back and review topics from the show. All right. Well, let me get this situated real quick here. My Patriot View pulled up on my phone. Makes it easier to watch chat sometimes if I got it on my phone here.
Hey, the document says 121. Is that still okay?
What do you mean?
Is it the right one? The date, it says 29, but 121 for the date.
Oh, no, we were, because this is the episode we were going to do last week, but then, I don't know what happened. Remember, I had to leave for something.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay.
And
This is the one we put all the history stuff in.
yeah, it's still the same one, but you are right. I will change this date, being as it aired on the 20, what's today, 6th? Yeah, we were supposed to do the episode on the 21st, but I don't remember what happened. I had to scram for something.
It had to help somebody. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but so yeah. Anyways, this is the right document. Welcome in viewers. See, we already got 5 viewers. That's awesome. I didn't tell Speedy I was doing an episode today, so I don't even know if he was expecting an actual episode on the right day today. So if Speedy checks in some point in time, he could be here. I got a what did I do this week section. I worked, of course. I plowed the driveway when it was -3 degrees one day and like -7 degrees the next day. Not real feel, that's the actual temperature. I did it twice, and it was terrible. It was so bad that my truck gelled up on the way to work. I had to drive like 20 miles an hour to and home from work because there was so much paraffin, which is the wax substance, and diesel fuel to keep it, what do you call it, stable. It thickens up before the diesel fuel and gets caught in the filters and shit. But got that. I put like a half a gallon of diesel 911 in there and got all that shit running again. So all good in the hood now. And I went and I should have put a picture on here of my load. Did I show you my load that I hauled?
No.
I'll put it up here on the camera. A guy called me. He's like, "Hey, can you move a 20-foot shipping container?" I said, "I have no idea, but I'll tell you what, we'll give her a shot."
Did you? I'm assuming they loaded and unloaded.
Yep, there it is.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I'd say I
You're not
ran.
even squatting.
No, not really. It was empty, so empty weight on a new one's like 5,000 pounds. That one was well used, so I imagine it had a lot of creosote and stuff in the wood. I would guess the weight on that one probably 5,500, maybe 6,000 pounds. So not even heavy, just big and slow, because they're not aerodynamic, obviously. So a truck gets like I was probably doing like I never went over 55, and I probably got like 7.5 miles a gallon. So not so bad. That's such a bad thing. Phone just died. That was awesome. Anyways, my point is I ran enough diesel fuel through there to ensure that I'm not gelled up anymore. Got my phone back on there. What else did I do? Oh, I put my document here. I kind of explained. I looked it up as to why the new trucks gel up. Because like my old truck, I used to drive it when it was like -20 with a -40 mile an hour wind chill, and I never had an issue. So these new engines are more efficient, so they don't need as much diesel fuel going to the engine. Therefore, there's less. The lines are smaller. The pumps less, and um, the return lines are smaller. Is the biggest part. So they're actually returning less fuel to the tank because it goes to the engine, gets hot. Whatever's not used gets sent back to the tank. It's just like a water pump. You don't ever want to leave a water pump running empty. Well, the same with fuel pump. It's always circulating, but since the new engines are so efficient, it circulates less. That's it. So your fuel freezes before it used to. But now it's 40 degrees outside, and everything I own is a pond. It's 4 inches of water everywhere. All the snow I pushed into piles is melted. Should be a mess for the next week, I would guess. Looks like all week's gonna be 40 to 46 degrees. Yeah, I still got my Packers cup. They fucking lost. They did beat the shit out of Dallas though, which was awesome. They even did better against San Fran than I thought they were gonna do. But can't expect to go to the Super Bowl every year, I guess, anymore since we don't have a Ron. I'm gonna go right into some history. This is the first time in history of the show that we've had two um, Roman history facts or whatever start off the show. Usually there's one on there, occasionally or something, but the first two. So January 24th, 41 AD, which the calendar's different. I'm not sure how they know it's January 21st, 41 AD. Because the Romans at this point in time used what was called a Gregorian calendar. So Julius Caesar hired a very smart Greek astronomer to redo the calendar. The original calendar was only 10 months, hence our month name. And it's 10 months of like 36 days or something weird. I think the original calendar is, no, it's 364 days maybe. Or 30, no. It's 360 is an even number. But so he had the guy redo it, and he came up to and figured that the year was 365 days long, not or 364 days long, whichever it is. Yeah, 364 because we do a leap year, which is an extra day. The 365th, right? Or is it 366 on the leap year? Yeah. Anyways, whatever. Uh, so who knows about the date? The Roman Emperor Caligula, which was Latin for tiny shoes, was assassinated at the Palatine Games by his own guard after a reign of just 4 years. Noted for his madness and cruelty, including arbitrary murder. Yeah, he was a crazy one. He was known. His like dad was in the military or whatever, and so he grew up in the military, and that's where little boot was is what Caligula means, and that's what the soldiers called him. That's not even his real name. He was known for being a psychopath. 69 AD, Roman Emperor Servius Sulpicius Galba was assassinated by the Praetorian Guard in the Roman Forum. He had succeeded Emperor Nero. So there's three very bad emperors right there: Caligula, Nero, and Galba. Two of which were assassinated by their own guards. And Nero, I'm trying to think, supposedly committed suicide, right? I think that's what the idea is there, or the story. January 6th, 1066, Harold, Earl of Wessex, was crowned King of England following the death of his brother-in-law, Edward the Confessor. Harold II was England's last Anglo-Saxon king, and October of 1066, Harold met the invading army of William the Conqueror at Hastings and died on the field of battle. So he got to be king for about 10 months, it looks like. January 15, 1559, Elizabeth Tudor, daughter of Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn, was crowned as Elizabeth I in Westminster Abbey. We have a couple of Henry VIII and his offspring's history today. You can learn more about him in the reasonably accurate TV show The Tudors. January 20, 1649, at the conclusion of the English Civil War, King Charles I was brought before a High Court of Justice at Westminster Hall on charges of treason. The Civil War had been fought over whether the king's power was absolute or was limited by the powers of Parliament. Oliver Cromwell had led the parliamentary forces victory over the royals. The trial that followed, Charles was found guilty and condemned as a tyrant, traitor, murderer, and public enemy, and was beheaded several days later in front of the Whitehall Palace in London. 2 Roman histories, 3 English histories right in a row. Now it's time for some America. January 1, 1776. During the American Revolution, George Washington unveiled the Grand Union flag, the first national flag in America. January 3rd, 1777. During the Revolution, George Washington defeated the British at Princeton and drove them back towards New Brunswick. Washington then established winter quarters in Morristown, New Jersey. During the long, harsh winter, Washington's army shrank to about 1,000 men as enlistments expired and deserters fled. January 4, 1790. President George Washington delivered the first State of the Union address. Cool one. 1790. For a few years. January 8, 1798, the 11th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution was ratified, preventing lawsuits against a state by anyone from another state or foreign nation. I wonder if state means actual state or if it means, like, union, you know? January 10th, 1861, Florida became the 3rd state to secede from the Union and events leading up to the American Civil War. January 11th, 1861, Alabama seceded from the Union. I'm assuming the next day after Florida would have been the 4th state, and events leading up to the American Civil War. January 1st, 1863, the Emancipation Proclamation by President Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves and the states rebelling against the Union. January 10, 1863, the world's first underground railway service opened in London, the Metropolitan line between Paddington and Farringdon. So it's not the Underground Railroad that's relevant to the previous piece of history about Abraham Lincoln. This is an actual subway, as we would call it, I would assume. They probably call it a subway now too, but anyways. January 10th, 1878, an amendment granting women the right to vote was introduced by Congress. In Congress, by Senator A. Sargent of California. The amendment didn't pass until 1920, 42 years later. An amendment granting women the right to vote. So this guy said in 1878, we should let these bitches vote. And then 42 years later, it passed. That's crazy. What a mistake. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Just teasing the ladies. Well, this is in the wrong spot. This one says 1870, which would be 8 years before the last one. What happens whenever you hire people to help you out. The first use of a donkey to symbolize the Democratic Party in America appeared in a cartoon in Harper's Weekly, criticizing former Secretary of War Edwin Stanton with the caption, "A live jackass kicking a dead lion." They used to use cartoons, political cartoons, all the time. They don't do it much anymore. An amendment granting the women the right to vote was introduced in Congress by Senator A. Sargent of California. Yeah, we just read that one. Oh, it's because they were backwards, duh. Ellis Island. This is cool. Ellis Island in New York Harbor opened. Over 20 million new arrivals to America were processed until its closing in 1954. I don't think that should be on here. I think we talked about this. We did talk about this. I went too far back in history, or I've got some leftovers or something. Because our last episode was like January 2 weeks ago, right? So January like 12th or something, 14th. Yep.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, I think I messed up the history because we talked about Ellis Island last episode, and remember I ran the halftime video that was about Ellis Island.
Yeah, must have.
So I don't know if I did too much history this time or if I added to the document from last time.
Well, if you look, there's a bunch of them that are out of date. I guess by year. Never mind.
Yeah, it's by year. Whatever. I'm gonna skip everything from like the 10th. All right, let's see here. Let's skip a few right now. The League of Nations. Did we talk about that? I don't think that says January 10th. I don't think we talked about that last episode.
I don't remember that.
How about January 5th? Nellie Taylor Ross of Wyoming became the first female governor. I don't remember talking about that. Oh, we didn't do it. We did. I know what's up. We did not do history last episode because it had been like 3 weeks or 4 weeks since I did an episode, and um, Cowboys with us, so we skipped history. That's what happened.
Yeah. Okay, that's right.
Yep. So the Ellis Island thing was just it's just in there. Just happens to be factual for the month, but kind of cool. Lines up with last week's halftime video. So moving on, January 23rd, 1907, Charles Curtis of Kansas became the first person of Native American ancestry to serve in the U.S. Senate. He later served as vice president under President Herbert Hoover from 1929 to 1933. January 5, 1919, the German Workers' Party, Deutsche Party, I have no idea what any of that means, but uh, was founded by Anton Drexler in Munich. Adolf Hitler became member number 7 and changed the name in April of 1920 to the National Socialist German Workers' Party. And I'm not trying to pronounce that in German. We'll give it a shot. National Sozialistische Deutsche Arbeiterparty, commonly shortened to Nazi or Nazi Party. Yeah, I could imagine putting that in a report more than once. Like if I was like
I didn't know that that was short for something.
I knew it was short, but I had no idea for what. I didn't know that was what it was. I mean, I've heard it called the National Socialist Party. I've heard that before, and I knew that meant the same thing as Nazi. I didn't. Now, how do they get the letters NAZI out of whatever that is? I don't have a clue. Maybe it's a name that just means the same. I don't know, but January 10, 1920, the League of Nations officially came into existence with the goal of resolving international disputes, reducing armaments, and preventing future wars. The first assembly gathered in Geneva 10 months later with 41 nations represented. More than 20 nations later joined, however, the U.S. did not join due to a lack of support for the League in Congress. Yeah, we don't want to reduce our arms, ever. Keep them all. January 5, 1925, Nellie Taylor, I feel like that should be Taylor. Whatever, I didn't write it. Taylor Ross of Wyoming became the first female governor inaugurated in the U.S. So, 1925, I'm going to go back to when women could vote. Do you remember when that was? Oh, freeing. 1920 was whenever the amendment allowing women to vote passed. 5 years later, she was elected. That's not a very long time. That's pretty quick moving. Good on you, ladies. January 12, 1932, Hattie W. Caraway, a Democrat from Arkansas, was appointed to the U.S. Senate to fill the term of her deceased husband. Later in the year, she became the first woman elected to Senate. So, for those of you who don't know, why we're doing all the firsts for Congress and stuff right now is because it's voting season, right? November they vote, they take office in January. So that's why all of these first, like it'll be a lot of first African Americans, first Indians, first all that stuff. So, yeah, probably most of them fall in this episode. January 6, 1941, President Franklin Roosevelt delivered his State of the Union address to Congress asking for support for the Land Lease program aiding allies fighting with the Axis powers. Roosevelt also defined our essential freedoms worth defending: freedom of speech, freedom of worship, freedom from want, and freedom from fear. Now, I have a footnote here, and I put this in here specifically so I could say this. I don't think President Franklin Roosevelt had 2024 in mind. I wonder what an old ruffian like that would think about boys and girls trying to pick whether they want to be boys and girls, regardless if they got wieners or not. That's all I'm going to say about that because I'm not trying to get this show canceled or start some big bullshit argument that no one cares really about. You all have your own thoughts. You all probably can imagine my thoughts. I wonder what Franklin Roosevelt would think. Hey, Speedy, born Nellie Davis Taylor. So that was,
Yeah, it's her real name.
huh, I like it. Thanks for coming in, Speedy. Sorry I didn't give you a heads up, buddy. I woke up early for work today and I decided, you know what? We're going to do it. And really I wanted to make sure to get one done today because next episode, Speedy, is our 1 year anniversary. It's Patriot View's 1 year anniversary. So we got some special shit planned too. I am fine. I appreciate that. To all the ladies tell me, Speed Dog. Just kidding, just kidding. Hey, did you check out that code I gave you? Did you read that? Um, so I got a what I could tell everybody, I guess, right? What I used my first expenditure from our Patreon account, which we now have 3 Patreons. Appreciate all 3 of you guys. I bought my first thing with it, and it was the subscription to the Epoch Times, which is a smaller news outlet, not like CNN or Fox. Um, the 2 things that I saw on there were the articles about. Actually, I think we got. Oh no, we were gonna watch the videos from that. I might have video and Firefox sharing set up on here. We're gonna try to watch 2 trailers, but so we'll talk about it later, I guess. Misha, what was that shit called? Like the
I
real
don't
January
remember.
6th or whatever?
Yeah,
January,
yeah, that's what it was.
but it's about when all them assholes went down and raided the White House. I don't care what terminology you want to throw
It
there.
was 2 different sides of the story, wasn't it?
Yeah,
What
and that
really happened?
it was well, it wasn't really sides of the story. It was interviews from people inside the White House, right? And then interviews from people who raided the White House. So you
The
get
Capitol building.
yeah, the Capitol building. Sorry. Yeah, the White House. Shit, that would have been crazy. That would never have happened. But yeah,
They
so
tried.
you can form 2 different stories or you can form 2 different opinions, but it shows from what I gather anyways, it shows a pretty unbiased opinion from both angles is without trying to form the viewer to have a certain opinion, which I love. So Speedy says, yeah, he did check it out. What do you think about that website? Did you read any of their news articles? And is it worth the $40 a year or whatever? What I pay? $4 a month, right? Yeah, $48 a year.
Yeah, something like that.
And while we're waiting on Speedy's response in chat, we can move on. I hit scroll on accident. Oh shit. Oh no, here we are. In North Africa, British forces under General Bernard Montgomery captured Tripoli in Libya. That was in 1943, January 23rd, 1943. Sorry. On the 26th of January, Nazis began using Hitler Youths to operate anti-aircraft batteries in Germany following a heavy Allied bombing of Berlin and other cities. So the Hitler Youth, we have talked about that in the past. I don't know if you all remember what the Hitler Youth was. It's basically the Boy Scouts of Germany, right? They're called the Hitler Youths. They went shotguns, marched, wore uniforms, all that stuff. It literally was boys. It was high school age boys. So you're talking maybe a young high schooler would be like 13 to 17-ish, something like that. But basically, before they were actually legally allowed to join a military unit, they were the Hitler Youth. So like junior ROTC would be a perfect comparison. Well, he was using them in actual combat scenarios, and a lot of them died. And a lot of English, maybe Speedy knows what they were called. The English also had the same type of setup. They had uh what's that ship, Speedy, that you guys have out there in that harbor on the north side of England? The famous harbor. I forget everything. I should think before I talk. Probably a good rule of life. Anyways, England's got some sort of harbor and there was some sort of ship in there and there were some sort of kids on board and the Germans stuck in with the U-boat and bombed it. I feel like if it was American, it would be called the Constitution, but it's like that's how prominently they.
Resolute.
Yeah, that's it. HMS Resolute. Um, they had whatever England's like Boy Scouts are, like Junior Navy ROTC on there, right? And a German U-boat snuck in there and hit it with a torpedo and sunk that motherfucker with like 150 kids on it. And Hitler actually tried hiding that whole thing. Like whenever they got the intel report back from that, Hitler's like, "Yeah, we're not putting that kill in the newspaper. Keep that shit out of the newspaper." Well, obviously England blew it out of the water, but oh, that was a big factor in the beginning of World War II. And it was an old wooden boat, like a sailboat. You know what I'm talking about, like the Mayflower type
Yeah.
boat. It wasn't even. I don't even know why they looked through their sights and thought, let's kill this thing. Like it wouldn't hurt nobody. But anyways, moving on. Oh, we got a comment back from Speedy. What's Speedy say here? It looks good. There was a story about UK military vet that was losing their home, and a judge stepped in. Okay, I think you sent me a message about that, right? I feel like you sent me a message about that. And I apologize, Speedy, if I don't reply. It's not because I don't like talking to you or because I don't value the stuff you're. I just, you can ask anybody that's talked to me on Discord in the past 2 months since I've been on Midnights, man. I get on there, I might, I, I know my messages pop up as read and no reply because Midnight's just got me messed up right now. I'll get used to it eventually. But I believe Speedy sent me a message about that UK military vet. And actually, Speedy, after the show, remind me. We'll put something together for next week. We'll talk about him real quick because we gotta include our British. Are you guys brothers? British brethren? You guys are like a little cousin. Oh, it was about in Boyce. Yeah, yeah. Okay. I knew we talked about it. See. January 10, 1946, the first meeting of the United Nations General Assembly took place in London with delegates from 51 countries. The UN superseded its predecessor, the League of Nations. It doesn't say if the US joined at that point in time or not. I don't know when they joined the UN. That would have been shortly after World War II. I bet the US probably came in by then. HMS Resolute was a mid-19th century bark-rigged ship of the British Royal Navy, specially outfitted for Arctic exploration. And that was a sail ship, right?
Yes.
Okay, I thought, yeah, that's the one I was talking about. January 25th, 1947, gangster Al Capone, who once controlled organized crime in Chicago, died in Miami at age 48 from syphilis. Syphilis used to kill a lot of people. A lot of people in the Old West died from syphilis. January 21, 1954, the USS Nautilus, the world's first nuclear-powered submarine, was launched at Groton, Connecticut. 1959, let's see here. January 1, 1959, Fidel Castro seized power in Cuba after leading a revolution that drove out dictator Fulgencio Batista Castro. Oh, no, no, no. There's supposed to be a period there. Castro then established a communist dictatorship. Hey, I was at a Halloween party one time, and there was this guy who was completely naked at this party, except for he had a potato over his wiener, and he said, "Hey, everybody, look at me! I'm a dictator." Terrible joke. I learned that in 8th grade. Oh, shit.
Did you
January.
know there was 3 desks made from that?
There what?
There was 3 desks, 3 Resolute desks.
I know one of them is in the Oval Office, or was.
It is. It's still. It's in the White House. It's up to each president to choose whether they want to use it or not.
Okay,
We actually have another.
let's
It's in
hear
New
it.
Bedford, Massachusetts. It was called the Grinnell desk, or the Queen Victoria desk. It was made from the timbers. Same as that. It was presented to the widow of Henry Grinnell in 1880 in recognition of her husband's generous contributions in search of Sir John Franklin. He was a British Royal Naval officer.
In
But then it was
1880?
given. Yeah.
Well, that's not the same ship then, because World War II was not in 1880.
No, but the ship's old.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the HMS Resolute. Yeah. But then in 1983, the desk was given to New Bedford Whaling in New Bedford, Massachusetts, and then the third
1983
desk is Queen Victoria.
makes sense. 1983, you said.
No, yeah, 1983, but
Okay.
uh,
I thought you
it
said it
was
was given away
given.
in 1880.
That's what it says.
Yep, that's the wrong boat then. I'm googling it right now. German U-boat sinks wooden ship.
That's just the most popular one I know of.
No, that's World War One, a shipping ship. People not know about this? Like, why do I have to type in so many search
No, I don't.
terms?
I've never heard of it.
Huh. Wooden boats of World War Two. Not a merchant ship. It was a hmm. Well, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shut the fuck up about this right now because I know it's a real story and I feel like I'm just piecing it together. So I will actually talk about it. It was in English. There's a port or a um harbor that's very famous. I think it's Natural Harbor. I don't remember. I'm reading. Sorry, I'm not just trying to be awkward. Bird. Nope. Pool. I don't feel like that's the name. Pool says is the largest. Halifax? I don't know. That's a familiar name. Okay. Meat Shield, Speedy. You guys hold me to this. We're gonna get to the bottom of this because I'll watch a documentary on this episode, on this event, so I know it's a thing. There's a wooden sail ship that was basically kept in service to the Royal Navy just as like a nostalgic type thing, right? And on there, they trained these like junior ROTC or Boy Scout type of boys in the ways of naval life and military life. Just obviously it wasn't paramilitary, probably more of a pseudo military type life, but these boys are on this ship sleeping, and a German U-boat sneaks into whatever harbor or port it was, and it was one of the viewed as one of the most secure ports in England. This U-boat shot a torpedo and sunk it. So we're gonna find out the full story, and we're gonna talk about it next week. Don't let me forget. But we have to move along for today.
The Lusitania.
That's it.
It was an ocean liner.
That no, it wasn't a Lusitania. That's Lusitania was like the sister ship to the Titanic, right?
Yeah, this one was sunk by a
Yeah,
German U-boat on May
yeah.
17th.
I know which one
27th.
you're. I know what you're talking about
Oh,
there.
okay.
That is fact. Hitler also did hide that one. No, this
Oh,
was a
that's World War One. Yeah, sorry.
yeah. That was like a sister ship to the Titanic. It was one of those giant Ironside cruisers or whatever. Not a cruiser,
Big
like
steamboat.
yeah. That's not it. We'll figure it out. We gotta drop it for the day. I'm gonna have to call in to work. If I call in to work on air, that'd be hilarious. Several people from work watch my show. Apparently not as several as I thought. There's four of us in here. We're three of them. D-heads. Alright. Speedy says. That might be it. That might be it. Okay. I don't know what that is. I've never heard of that one, Speedy. The SS City of Benares. That's probably Benares. You can tell I'm in a Latin household because I always try to throw a little Spanish on there. Nope. I don't think that's it. That's another story though for sure. I'll find it. Just don't let me forget. I'll find it and tell you guys about it.
Here, check chat.
All right. You guys are not gonna let me drop this, huh? Athenia passenger liner. See, that was a liner.
Oh, you really mean sailboat, huh?
I really mean like Mayflower, a wooden side cotton sailed boat. We have to drop it today, boys, or we're gonna be all here all
All right,
day.
yeah, do your thing.
Just remind me of that shit. So next week, I know there's a video on it, and we're gonna show it. We're gonna keep showing videos, by the way. I stopped asking permission. I don't know if that's okay or not, but I just started showing whatever I wanted to show on here, and eventually, if we get copyrighted, we'll get copyrighted. Not if they're gonna take our money. We don't make any. January 3rd. This is an awesome one, by the way. January 3rd, 1959, Alaska was admitted as the 49th U.S. state with a landmass of almost one-fifth of the size of the lower 48 states together. Do you guys remember when I talked about a veteran named Bobby that I met at my favoriteest bar? And we were talking about our military service. He asked me, he's like, did you have to go to those shithole deserts? Yeah. I'm like, did you have to go into any like shithole Koreas? And he was like, no, but I did do some foreign service. I said, oh man, cool. Where was your foreign service at? He said Alaska, 1956 to 1958. I was like, Alaska? He said, yeah, Alaska wasn't the United States yet. That was still a Russian territory. That was where I got. That was my deployment. My foreign service time was spent in Alaska when there was only 48 states in the U.S. and that blew my mind. I had never even considered that there are still people still alive who served in places that were America, or still honestly people still alive that even were born before there was 50 states. To be honest, I mean I guess our parents are probably close to that. January 5th, 25th, 1959, an American Airlines Boeing 707 made the first scheduled transcontinental U.S. flight traveling from California to New York. That's fitting because later we're going to talk about the Concorde and how fast that fucker goes. January 3rd, 1961, President Dwight D. Eisenhower broke off diplomatic relations with Cuba 2 years after communist dictator Fidel Castro had seized power and just weeks before John F. Kennedy was inaugurated as the next president. Pardon me for not knowing. Dwight D. Eisenhower was president for 2 terms. Did we go right into JFK after that? Anybody know?
I do not.
That'd be a hell of a run, wouldn't it? That's two of the most prolific American names ever. Anyway, January 25th. Yeah, it had to be because it says January 3rd, 1961, President Dwight Eisenhower. January 25th, 1961, same year, 22 days later, President John Kennedy. So he would have took office on January 20th. That's a pretty good run. Conducted the first live televised presidential news conference 5 days after taking office. What do you think these old guys like Ike and JFK would think about our presidents now? Like, I bet Eisenhower would punch our president right in the mouth. January 11th, 1964, the U.S. Surgeon General declared cigarettes may be hazardous to health. The first such official government report. 1964, Meat Shield. They suspected they were bad for us.
Oh yeah.
January 24th, 1965, Winston Churchill died. He had been Britain's wartime prime minister whose courageous leadership and defiant rhetoric had fortified the British during their long struggle against Hitler's Germany. I have nothing to offer but blood, toil, tears, and sweat, he stated upon becoming the prime minister at the beginning of the war. He called Hitler's Reich a, quote, monstrous tyranny never surpassed in the dark, lamentable catalogue of human crime, end quote. Following the war, he coined the term Iron Curtain to describe the barrier between areas of Eastern Europe and Soviet Russia's control of the Free West. January, I have a DM from a CIA cowboy. Why isn't he in chat? Replying to him, I said, doing a show. Why don't you, I can't spell, join chat? MF, which means my friend. For those of you who don't know, call anybody MF because it means my friend. January 17th, 1966, a hydrogen bomb accident occurred over Palomares, Spain, as an American B-52 jet collided with its refueling plane. 8 crewmen were killed, and the bomber then released its H-bomb into the Atlantic. I wonder what happened to that. H-bomb's a hydrogen bomb, yeah. Oh, it says that. That was word 2 and 3 of that. So I guess it would
I
be
never
that.
heard about that until now.
I've heard about it, and I know there was some sort of rescue um, attempts, but I'm trying to think. There's a movie, like a actual like a
Isn't that what that diver movie's about?
yeah,
Cuba Gooding Jr.
yeah, that movie, A Few Good Men, right?
Yeah,
I
I think
think
that's right. Yeah.
I think that's what that's about. I mean, not obviously probably loosely based on, but the next day, January 18th, Robert Clifton Weaver was sworn in as the first African American cabinet member in U.S. history, becoming President Lyndon B. Johnson's Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. I'm sure he would be appalled at 2024 as well. January 23rd, 1968, the American ship USS Pueblo was seized by North Koreans in the Sea of Japan amid claims the Navy ship was spying. The ship was confiscated and its crew held in captivity until December of 1968, with one fatality. Them damn North Koreans have been fucking with us for a long time. It's been 70 years now. January 22nd, 1973, abortion became legal in the U.S. as Supreme Court announced its decision in the case of Roe v. Wade, striking down local state laws restricting abortions in the first 6 months of pregnancy. In more recent rulings, 1989 and 1992, the court upheld the power of individual states to impose some restrictions. This obviously is not completely updated because I think in 2023 or 22, we have reversed that ruling somehow. The Supreme Court has, not we, not me. January 21st, 1976, the Concorde. Sorry. Yeah, here we go. The Concorde supersonic jet began passenger service with flights from London to Bahrain and Paris to Rio de Janeiro, cruising twice the speed of sound, also known as Mach 2, at an altitude of up to 60,000 feet, with a takeoff speed of 250 miles per hour and a cruising speed of 1,350 miles per hour, more than twice the speed of sound. A typical London to New York crossing would take a little less than 3.5 hours, as opposed to about 8 hours in a subsonic flight. I have to mute Discord because this thing is driving me crazy. Anybody know how to mute Discord?
Right click the server.
Oh, there we go. I'll just mute. Oh no, that's mute me when I talk to you. Wait,
Whatever server you're trying to mute or thing, you should just be able to
it's
right click it.
it's private messages. You get messages. I want it to make no noise right now. I can block. Block CRX.
You should right underneath it should give you the option to mute that person.
Add note. Add nickname. Close. Apps. Invite to server. Remove. Block. Mute. There it is. Bingo. Mute for 1 hour. Okay. Anyways, so it travels about almost 3 times as fast as a regular passenger jet. That was pretty cool. The Concorde, they stopped flight. I should have put that in there. They stopped flight on those. They were 14 times less fuel efficient than a regular passenger jet. So, January 20th, 1981, Ronald Reagan became the President of the United States at age 69, the oldest president to take office. During his inauguration celebrations, he announced that 52 American hostages that had been seized at the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, Iran, were being released after 444 days in captivity. And about 3 months ago, we did a little special on that. Not a special, I guess, but we did talk about it. So he was 69. Joe Biden was 77 when he took office. So Ronald Reagan was out of office at 77. Joe Biden took office at 77. That's a crazy world. January 11th, 1990, in Lithuania, 200,000 persons demanded political independence from Soviet Russia after Mikhail Gorbachev, leader of the Soviet Union, publicly warned that separatism would lead to tragedy. Independence was achieved in September of 1991, 3 months before the collapse of the Soviet Union itself. January 13th, 1990, Douglas Wilder of Virginia became the first black governor in the U.S. as he took the oath of office in Richmond. January 12, 1991, Congress authorized President George Bush, that's George H.W. Bush, to use military force against Iraq following its invasion of Kuwait. That entire war was like 101 hours or something awesome. That was a good one. January 16, 1991, the war against Iraq began as Allied aircraft conducted a major raid against Iraqi air defenses. The air raid on Baghdad was broadcast live on global audience by CNN correspondents as Operation Desert Shield became Operation Desert Storm. Yeah, that was the first war I remember, and I told you guys this story several times. That is the war that made me say that's what I want to do when I grow up. I remember watching all the night vision fucking tracers bouncing everywhere and bombs dropping and sparks flying. I was like, that's definitely it. January 3rd, 1993, President George Bush and Russian President Boris Yeltsin signed the START II treaty, eliminating about 2/3 of each country's long-range nuclear weapons. I wonder how many of these weapons weren't disposed of. We ever think of that? We ever go back and check? Like, hey, did you guys actually get rid of those nukes? Yeah, they're probably sitting in the basement of like school gyms and stuff somewhere.
I'm still
January,
looking up the ship.
don't even do it, man. partake in the now. Talk about the shit we're talking about now. We will do the ship next week because I'm telling you, it wasn't the Resolute. I fucked up by saying that because I knew that was the desk that was in the Oval Office.
Well, I found several. It's just hard to figure out which one you're exactly talking
When
about.
I find it, I will know
Conway was the
immediately.
other one.
January 12th, 1996, the first joint American-Russian military operation since World War II occurred as Russian troops arrived to aid in the peacekeeping efforts in Bosnia. January 26th, 1998. So let's go talk about this Russian 1996. So we're talking 30 short years ago. Americans and Russians were conducting joint military operations. And now we have to worry about Russia and China tag teaming us, basically. January 26, 1998, President Bill Clinton made an emphatic denial of charges that he had a sexual affair with Monica Lewinsky and had advised her to lie about it. Quote, I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. End quote. She had a better impression voice. I was,
You didn't do the finger either. The
I was,
thumb.
I was really happy whenever I found that in there. January 12th, 1999, President Bill Clinton sent a check for $850,000 to Paula Jones, officially ending the sensational sexual harassment legal case that ultimately endangered his presidency. The president withdrew $375,000 from his and Hillary Rodham Clinton's personal funds and got the remaining $475,000 from an insurance policy. The lawsuit had exposed the president's affair with Monica Lewinsky and resulted in the investigations by independent counsel Ken Starr that led to Clinton's impeachment by the House of Representatives and subsequent trial in the Senate. He was still better than what we've got, in my humble opinion.
Yeah. Yes, he was.
Like, they crucified him for getting a blowjob, and this guy we got in there can't finish a sentence. Ugh. January 6, 2021. In Washington, D.C., thousands attended the Save America rally near the White House at Ellipse, a park located south of the White House grounds. There, President Donald Trump, oh shit, I just realized what we're talking about. There, President Donald Trump and others addressed the crowd to express opposition to the certification of the Electoral College's results of the 2020 presidential election, which would finalize Joe Biden as the victor. Events escalated when several hundred departed the rally and advanced towards the United States Capitol building. They breached security perimeters and entered the Capitol building, thereby disrupting the joint session of Congress. Oh, pardon me. Jesus, I'll mute myself next time. Convened to certify the election results. The incursion led to the evacuation and secure sheltering of Congress members, staff, and the Vice President, Mike Pence. The ensuing chaos included vandalism, theft of government property, and violent confrontations with law enforcement, resulting in numerous injuries to law enforcement and civilians, overall including 5 fatalities. The unprecedented breach led to a lockdown of the Capitol and deployment of the National Guard and other law enforcement agencies to restore order. The events were widely condemned by political leaders from both major parties and led to a nationwide discussion about political rhetoric, security, and the state of democracy in the United States. In the aftermath, numerous individuals were arrested and charged for their roles in the events. The House of Representatives impeached President Trump for the second time on January 13th, charging him with incitement of insurrection, though he was later acquitted by the Senate. I want to go back to something there. Oh, this is a stupid point I want to make, but it says get theft of government property. They're not fucking stealing tanks and shit, just so you guys know. They're stealing staplers and post-it notes. And I'm not defending these assholes either. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying. We're going to cover more on this later. So, we talked about the Epoch Times and shit earlier. They put out 2 episodes of interviews and stuff, documents and whatever on this. So I'm going to try it maybe after birthdays. Did we ever put the links in there for this? Hey, Shield?
I'm not sure.
I don't think we put the links in there for that. Oh, yeah,
For
we
which
did.
one?
Okay, yeah, we did. Under other topics, 4 hours at the Capitol and the long road home. So 4 hours at the Capitol is the interviews with the people that are inside the building. And the long road home is the people who are being arrested. They've arrested like 1,200 people based on, hey, you were on camera at the Capitol building. You're under arrest. And that's, anyways. So we're not going to do that today. That's going to be like a next episode type of thing. And at some point in time, I want to do a watch party to where me and you guys get together and hang out, and we're gonna watch. I specifically subscribed to the Epoch Times with our Patreon money, so we could do a watch party and watch these documentaries about January 6th together. So I'm not gonna cover it now because I want us all to form opinions together and talk about it and see what's up. So moving on, January 13th. This is Trump's impeachment day. January 13th, 2021, President Donald Trump was impeached by the House of Representatives on a charge of incitement of insurrection following a violent attack on the U.S. Capitol by his supporters 7 days earlier. The charge alleged Trump encouraged the January 6th insurrection to interfere with the congressional certification of the 2020 presidential election after losing to Democrat Joe Biden. Trump was acquitted on February 13th, 2021, when the U.S. Senate failed to reach the two-thirds majority needed for conviction. Shaka. All right, we got some birthdays to do before break time here. Birthdays: January 1st birthday, American patriot Paul Revere was born in Boston, Massachusetts. Paul Revere is best known for his ride on the night of April 18th, 1775, warning Americans of British plans to raid Lexington and Concord. By the way, most of that story is fantasized and ingratiated. Paul Revere was not the only writer. There was a group of like 36 writers that were scheduled to, if this happens, you ride and you tell everyone. And so they were like, it was a system, obviously. But Paul Revere is by far the most popular. Also, January 1st, Betsy Ross was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in 1752. She was a seamstress credited with helping to originate and sew the Stars and Stripes flag of America in 1776. I wish I had my shirt on today because I have a Betsy Ross shirt, but I don't. January 8th, 1935, Elvis Presley was born in Tupelo, Mississippi. Do I need to say anything about Elvis Presley, or does everybody know who he is? Yeah, figured. January 9th birthday, Richard M. Nixon was born in 1913. He became the 37th U.S. president. He was born in Yorba Linda, California. He served as vice president under Dwight D. Eisenhower from 1953 to 1961, and then made an unsuccessful run for the presidency, narrowly losing to JFK, which now we know for a fact was Eisenhower's successor. Nixon ran for governor in California in 1962 and lost that as well, so that was not a good year for him apparently, huh? He then told reporters he was leaving politics. However, he reemerged in 1968 and ran a successful presidential campaign against Hubert Humphrey. He won re-election by a landslide in 1972 but resigned 2 years later amid impeachment proceedings resulting from the Watergate scandal. Which, to be honest, with all you motherfuckers, I still don't have a clue what that was about, some Watergate stuff. No idea. Was he like taking money? Was he recording people in their homes?
I don't know either.
I don't know.
I have no clue.
I should probably know that. That's the type of shit they should teach you in grade school. Like, they taught us that Nixon was a dirtbag, but they never taught us why. You know what I mean? January 11th birthday. January 11, 1755. Alexander Hamilton was born in the British West Indies. He was a founder of the United States. He was a founder of the United States who favored a strong central government and co-authored the Federalist Papers, a series of essays in defense of the new Constitution. He was selected by George Washington to be the first Secretary of the Treasury. He died from a gunshot wound received during a duel with Aaron Burr. That was back whenever 1804, you could just settle your stuff. That's when he died, 1804. January 12th, 1737, American statesman and patriot John Hancock was born in Braintree, Massachusetts. He was elected president of the Second Continental Congress in 1775, was the first signer of the Declaration of Independence, and went on to become the first elected governor of Massachusetts. Hell yeah, John Hancock. And in Chicago, Illinois, we have a John Hancock building dedicated to him. It's like a little baby Sears Tower. There's a lot of revolutionary birthdays. January 14th, 1741, Benedict Arnold was born in Norwich, Connecticut. He was the American Revolutionary War hero who turned traitor, sending information to the British in exchange for money. After obtaining command of West Point in 1780, he conspired to turn over the garrison to the British. However, his plans were discovered and he fled to British headquarters in New York. After the war, he lived in England. But F that dude. We don't need him anyway. January 15th, 1929, Martin Luther King was born in Atlanta, Georgia. As an African American civil rights leader, he spoke eloquently and stressed nonviolent methods to achieve equality. He received the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964. He was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee on April 4th, 1968. In 1983, the third Monday in January was designated a legal holiday in the U.S. to celebrate his birthday. We call it Martin Luther King Day. January 16th, 1853, French industrialist André Michelin was born in Paris. He started the Michelin Tire Company in 1888, pioneering the use of pneumatic tires on autos, and everybody knows that Michelins are top tier tires still. January 17th, 1706, Benjamin Franklin was born in Boston, Mass. Considered the elder statesman of the American Revolution, he displayed multiple talents as a printer, author, publisher, philosopher, scientist, diplomat, and philanthropist. He signed both the Declaration of Independence and the new United States Constitution. Also, on January 17th, Muhammad Ali was born in Louisville, Kentucky in 1942. January 19th, 1807, Robert E. Lee, military leader of the Confederacy during the American Civil War, was born in Westmoreland County, Virginia. He was the son of Revolutionary War hero and graduate of West Point. They're not going to tell us which Revolutionary War hero? Dickheads. Was a graduate of West Point and served in the U.S. Army for 25 years preceding the Civil War. At the outbreak of hostilities, he was offered command of the Union Army but declined and instead accepted a command of the military and naval forces of Virginia. And don't quote me on this, but I believe he was quoted as saying that his allegiance lied with the state before it aligned with his country or something like that, and that kind of cemented the southern at the time the southern belief in state before federal governments, and obviously we all know how that turned out. January 21st, 1824, Confederate Army General Stonewall Jackson was born in Clarksville, Virginia, as Thomas Jonathan Jackson. He was a West Point graduate who served in the Mexican War and then resigned to teach the Virginia Military Institute. He sided with the South and became a brigadier general, earning his nickname at the First Battle of Bull Run as his troops held firm while others wavered. There is Jackson standing like a stone wall, a federal general commented. He was shot in 1863 by a Confederate lookout who had mistaken him in the dark. Quote, I have lost my right arm, lamented General Lee upon his death. General Lee, they're talking about. Those two, Jackson and Robert E. Lee, must have worked tight together. January 26th, Douglas MacArthur was born in 1880 on a military base in Little Rock, Arkansas, also where Clinton's from, so you guys know. He commanded Allied forces during World War II in the Pacific, and in 1942 he uttered one of the most famous phrases of the war, quote, I shall return, when forced to leave the Philippines due to unchecked Japanese advance. In 1950, after the war broke out in Korea, he became a commander of the United Nations forces, However, disagreements with President Harry Truman over war policy resulted in his dismissal by Truman in April of 1951. MacArthur then appeared before Congress and announced his retirement, declaring, quote, old soldiers never die, they just fade away, end quote. I love me some Mountain Dew. My mustache is getting moist. All right. Upcoming events for veterans and first responders. I always tell you guys this shit. I'll put the link in chat. If you can volunteer your time, go to that schedule. Go to that link I just put in chat and click it, and you can volunteer. If you're a veteran and you need some shit, a job or some clothes or some food or somebody to talk to or anything, click the link. They've got events, virtual and real life, for both. So if you can help. If you need help, click that link too. They can help. Vet ticks and first ticks. I keep preaching about you guys about the vet ticks and the first ticks thing. They're fantastic. Like, I've been to Blackhawks games, Adam Sandler, Metallica, everything. And you pay the smallest fee for good events, and you're just helping them cover their costs, really. But, pardon me, they give away tickets to veterans and first responders of all sorts. I'm trying to think. I just got an email. I think there's 2 St. Louis Blues games this week, so if you're in the area, go to that. Veteran Spotlight. We need to get some submissions in for the Veteran Spotlight. So if you are a veteran, or if you know a veteran, or if you're a first responder or know a first responder, please reach out to people and get us a video. If you guys want to get a hold of me on Discord or Facebook or email or whatever, get a hold of me and let's figure out a way to get some people involved. But we definitely need some videos here. Let's see. We're up on our intermission time. What do you think the chances are that I put this intermission video in there right?
Pretty good.
Did we watch it last week for sure? Or not last week quite, but
I think we started it and you said, yep, that's the one.
okay. Well, again, like we do every week, guys, YouTube's bombing us with ads. So if I click the link and it comes up as an ad, we're gonna come back to see my beautiful face, and then we'll go back to the link again. But we are up on intermission. I'm gonna go grab me a new Mountain Dew, and I'll be right back. So please enjoy this video about the Statue of Liberty National Monument. I don't feel like that's accurate. Are you sure this is right? I thought we did Statue of Liberty last week.
I have no clue.
Ah, fuck it. We're gonna try it. Here we go.
Let me help you with that. I'm good, man. Thanks. Are you sure?
Huh? Would you imagine that it was an advertisement?
I want to get paid, man.
You can't sign into YouTube Premium or nothing, like, because the way that the Streamlabs OBS is set up, you input the link, right? And it's so weird that it keeps pulling up these ads. Like, you think
We got to set you up with like a thing share, like how I was doing it.
I do have that, but it's a pain in the ass because it's a pain in the ass. We can talk about that later. Anyways, try this again. Oh yeah,
DC is known for its museums, politics, and iconic landmarks.
Can you hear it?
But there's one that stands out above
there's a stupid pop-up right
the
in the way.
Washington Monument.
Shit's dumb.
No, we did that one last.
DC is known for its
That's what I thought. We
museums,
did this the
politics,
last time,
and iconic landmarks.
Yeah, Washington Monument
But
or
there's
whatever.
one that stands
Yeah, 'cause
out
it's
above the
B1M.
rest.
All right. I'll tell you what we're gonna do here.
DC is known for its
Don't
museums,
worry, we know what we're doing.
politics, and iconic landmarks. But there's one that stands out.
This for sure. Watch this video from Forge Theater.
Hello and welcome to Forge Theater National Historic Site. I'm Ranger Jenny, standing in the orchestra level of this historic place, the presidential box
See,
behind
I
me.
thought I forgot about that.
Every 4 years,
right.
the United States...
All right, Forge Theater, appreciate your time. Here we go. You haven't seen this one, right?
I don't think so.
I don't know if that's something to be proud of, but I have the dubious distinction of being the last resident
Why
of
is there
Liberty
a
Island,
leaves
yes.
popping?
Walking around
I'm
the
gonna stop
island
talking.
at
I'll
night
watch the
and
video.
looking up at the Statue
And,
of Liberty.
See you in 4 minutes.
It's quite an experience seeing all the different ways she changes. Some nights she's actually a little bit blue as opposed to green. I had 2 sets of grandparents that came through Ellis Island. I wonder what they would think if they found that their great-grandson was going to be the steward of the Statue of Liberty in Ellis Island.
Welcome to the Statue of Liberty.
Think about going to a different country. You may not speak the language, and they show up. Everything that means the world to them is in this one or two bags that they're carrying. And they're told to drop those bags and go upstairs to be processed. And they never even know if they're ever going to see that picture of their parents or their children that they left behind. They're relying on their faith that everything's going to be okay because this is a country that they want to come to. It's been reported that we've never lost a bag on Ellis Island. I guess the folks today could learn a thing or two about keeping tabs on bags.
Everybody came from someplace in America, except the Native Americans. And it's important to keep that alive, I think. I don't know that our generation would be as gutsy as they were to come. My grandmother was 20, and she never went back to Italy.
Okay.
I don't know why, but I got emotional when I saw it for the first time I was crossing. And I think it was just part of history, it being there, and it was an emotional moment. I mean, even me being born here, I guess I put myself in the emotion of all the people that came by boat, and the first thing they saw was this statue, in a sense, welcoming them to a new world, to freedom.
Right here at Ellis Island. This is where my family became American, quote unquote.
My parents immigrated here from Hong Kong and China to be able to tell their story by using the site as a focus. I just love it. I mean, there's just no way around it.
Our ancestors came over in 1914 from Lithuania. When we walked up the steps, it gave you the chills down your spine, kind of what they went through when they came on the boat and came up here.
During our peak immigration period at Ellis Island, we would average between 8,000 and 10,000 people a day. In our biggest visitation, we processed over 12,000 people. Today, our visitation during the summer is between 18,000 and 22,000 people a day. So we welcome quite a few more people. Of course, we don't process these people other than put them through security. October 29th, 2011, we had closed down to do some life safety renovations. Fortunately, when Sandy hit, none of those upgrades were damaged, but our entire infrastructure were all destroyed. While it was a very sad day for us, we quickly realized it was also an opportunity to make this a more sustainable park. It was also kind of moving in this devastation to see the statue standing there, the flag still flying, proud and defiant, and no storm was going to bother her.
All right. Thanks, Nat Geo, National Geographic, for that awesome video of the Statue of Liberty Monument. What? Oh, I think I got my phone turned up. I thought I heard somebody say something. Anyway, I'm assuming y'all can hear me.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh shit! I turned myself up, or my headphone up. You're loud. How we lose 3 viewers during a Statue of Liberty movie? D-heads. Anyway, so moving on to some congressional activity. Been trying to keep up with any sort of active government activity that most people would be interested in. Obviously, they talk about 14 different things every day. Like one of them is like a whole milk for health act, which the Senate thinks they need to have a law in state to feed kids whole milk because it's healthier than 2% or skim. Like whatever. I just that shit like that blows my mind. But anyways, I try to do the relevant stuff or stuff that's relevant to things that I like or don't like. So we're gonna start with House Resolution 1508, which is titled Travelers Gun Rights Act. This bill broadens the scope of allowable firearms transactions involving active duty service members and their spouses and individuals who do not have a residence in any state. Currently, federal firearms laws generally prohibit a federal firearms license, e.g. gun dealer license, FFL, from selling or delivering a firearm to an individual whose state of residence is different than the state in which the licensed place of business is located. So basically, if I own a gun shop in Missouri and you are an Army Ranger from Fort Benning, Georgia, I can't sell you a gun because the states are different. What this is saying is if you're active duty or something like that and you don't live necessarily in the state where your driver's license is or whatever, that they would allow you to still sell a gun to this person. This bill defines the term state of residence as the state in which an individual is present with an intention of making a home. In the case of an individual who does not have a physical residence in any state, then the term of state of residence means the address of the individual's private mailbox or post office box. So if I were a traveling camper, let's say, if I retire and just drive around with my truck and camper, I can still purchase a gun in Colorado when I go there, as long as I have a P.O. box or something in the state. I don't have to have a physical address. Obviously, there's loopholes with this that they're going to work out, but this is just a basis. It's a bill that's been presented to broaden the scope of allowable firearms. So this is not the final draft, all that stuff. We've talked in the past about how stuff gets put into law. There's got discussions and votes and put on committees and votes, and then put back in for votes and discussion and blah blah blah. So, tons of loopholes probably going to be exposed during those discussions and hypothetical situations. But it's a good bill, I think. Makes sense. In the case of a member of the armed forces on active duty, his or her spouse, the term state of residence means the state in which the member's permanent duty station is located, and the state where the member maintains a place of abode from which he or she commutes to the permanent duty station. So, like Fort Campbell, Kentucky, for example, right? It's 41 miles to Tennessee and 13 miles, or 41 miles to Illinois and 13 miles to Tennessee. So you could literally live in Illinois, Kentucky, or Tennessee and have a 40-minute drive to work to go to Fort Campbell. Your license could be Illinois. Your tax return would be your address, and your place of employment would be Kentucky. So this is making it less complicated for those guys. Is really the point of it. Good deal, sounds like. Hopefully they don't make too many loopholes with it. I don't know why we can't just buy guns. Like, if you're not a criminal, you should just be able to have a gun. Whatever. House Resolution 4768 to require the Secretary of the Treasury to instruct the United States executive directors at the international financial institutions to advocate for investment in projects that decrease reliance on Russia for agricultural commodities. The last action on this was in the Senate. It was received in the Senate and read twice and referred to the Committee on Foreign Relations. So it passed the House as it's read, and then they read it twice at the Senate. They read it once, and then they read it twice and open it for question and discussion, and then they refer it to the Committee on Foreign Relations, which is like the appointed committee or like a small subject matter expert committee, right? Basically, so they handle all this stuff, and they will read it, make sure there's no things in there that need adjusted or changed, or if there's people who don't know what certain terminology means or how certain things are going to work out, whatever. This committee irons all that out, and then it'll go back to the Senate, be read with any alterations if there are any, and then voted on the Senate. And if there's alterations in the Senate and voted and passes the Senate, it goes back to the House because they're the original presenters, and they can either accept or deny the alterations made by the Senate. This is why it takes us 117 years to get any shit done in our president. This is why it took women 42 years to get voting rights after the dude presented it, because there's 814 steps that have to be followed. And of course, every single one of them's got to be written down by the scribe. House Resolution 6957 requires that the president's annual budget submission to the Congress and any concurrent resolution on budget to include the ratio of public debt to the estimated gross domestic product of the United States and for other purposes. So gross domestic product is basically how much money we're going to make as a country. That's a very broad term for that. So how much debt is the public incurring versus how much profit is the public incurring. So this resolution requires that the president's annual budget submission include the ratio of public debt. So instead of saying, hey, we're going to make $136 trillion, but we're going to spend $180 trillion, now they have to include a ratio in there, 1.7 to 1. We're going into debt 1.7 times per, as fast as we're making money. That's all this is saying. This was referred to the Committee on the Budget, and in addition to the Committee on Rules for a period to be subsequently determined by the Speaker, in each case for consideration under such provisions as fall within the jurisdiction of the committee concerned. So basically the bill, this has been read twice and then sent to the committees to find all the loopholes and find, what do you call that, tiny writing at the bottom of your check. Yeah, whatever. H.R. 6981 to amend Title 18 U.S. Code to prohibit unauthorized private paramilitary activity and for other purposes. So this is a pretty open-ended one.
Not really, from what I'm reading.
What?
Not really open-ended.
Really?
Basically, unless you're armed forces or you associate as a military organization solely for the purpose of historical reenactment or study or a parade, students in educational institution authorized by the federal government, or a member of an organization that is authorized under federal or state law to
Yeah.
provide paramilitary law enforcement. You can't train.
Right. I would say that's a very open-ended topic. So
Oh well, I mean,
it's the government's
yeah.
it's the government's judgment on what the word unauthorized in here means, right? Because it's not defined in the bill. It doesn't say unauthorized equals this. Can I have a nuclear bomb?
No, it shall be unlawful to knowingly, in a circumstance described in subsection B, while acting as a part on behalf of a private paramilitary organization and armed with a firearm or explosive or incendiary device or other dangerous weapon, to publicly patrol, drill, or engage in techniques capable of causing bodily injury or death,
Okay.
interfere with, interrupt, or attempt. There's a whole thing here. They like basically.
I
Yeah,
understand. Do you have a concealed carry license?
I do.
Did you take a concealed carry course?
I did.
Was it open to the public?
Yes.
That is public paramilitary training. So that's now against the law.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're saying open ended. I'm saying it's very targeted.
Oh, I'm saying the conversation's open ended. Like,
oh, okay, gotcha.
This is gonna fucking open up a box of bullshit that I don't think they want to deal with. Is what I'm saying.
Well, they're basically taking out the whole part of the Constitution that says you can,
the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
That and
part?
then the other part with forming a God, I can't think of the word.
Militia.
I'm so busy reading this. Yeah, the militia. There you
a
go.
well-trained and regulated militia is the part you're thinking of. Well, now what basically is what they're saying, and this has always kind of been the assumed thing. So when the Constitution was written, the word militia was specifically referring to state militias, state-regulated militias, right? Because you had the 273rd Infantry from Illinois, right? That was a militia. That was a bunch of farmers who, oh shit, we're going to war. Let's kind of organize and get our guns together. Like, I don't know how much you know or how much anybody watching knows, but like they didn't have a regulated uniform, a hairstyle, any grooming standards. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But so that was the militia. The United States Marine Corps is not a militia. That is a military branch of the United States government, right?
It was basically before the draft.
Absolutely, absolutely, it was before the draft. Well, we didn't have. Whenever we fought the Revolutionary War, we did not have any rules because we didn't have a constitution. We didn't have a United States code. We didn't have a government, right?
Right.
We had several states that were self-governing, basically.
These are people who just wanted to fight.
I'll work on it, but it's been a while. I'm trying to think. The last time I talked to a Revolutionary War veteran, it's been a while. But we'll work on getting one on the show. They're kind of hard to find, you know?
Yeah, huh?
But anyways, this one here, man, it opens up a jar. That's all I'm trying to say. Like, what's public? Can I invite you and 2 other friends over to my house to do some long-range shooting? That's public,
right.
Isn't it? You guys don't
live. No, that's technically private, isn't it?
If you don't live in my county, or maybe you don't live in my state. What if CIA Cowboy wants to come over and try out my new pistol? He's traveling across straight lines to go do some training. That sounds pretty against the rules on this thing. What's paramilitary? So can I not wear my vest while we're training? Because military people are wearing vests, right?
Well, in the state we live in, we're not allowed to wear vests at all.
Well, you're not.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, the common people aren't allowed to wear body armor.
So
not even allowed to own it.
You see what I'm saying? Like, this is opening up a. I don't know. This is a game changer because this is what we like conservative people, and I'm not talking about conservative Republican or any political party. I'm talking about people who read the Constitution and were like, oh, the right to keep and bear arms, so I can have a gun. That's what that means, right?
Right.
Those type of people who are like, yes, these words mean this. We're conservative. This is what we believe, and let's conserve this. They're gonna have a problem with this. A big problem, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna say yeah, they will. It's like stepping stones, and they keep just stepping on the next one, stepping on the next one, stepping on the next one. Exactly how far you think you're going to get before people just say no?
Well, I don't want to talk too much about this because, like I said earlier, I don't want to get the show canceled. I don't want to become such a polarizing figure that we have that in order to watch this show you have to pick one side or the other, right? I want to leave it open so everybody can enjoy this show. But at some point in time, if we're talking about real gun control, and I mean like if they ever pass a law that says you can't have a military style rifle, they're gonna have to go knock on some doors. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah. But what gets me is like the first line of defense of the offenses: publicly patrol, drill, or engage in techniques capable of causing bodily injury or death.
Yeah.
Literally anything.
Well, I can tell you from a law enforcement perspective, the term deadly force, if you rack around in your pistol or your rifle, that's use of deadly force because now you are preparing to take action which could result in human life being lost, right?
Right.
So you coming over and hanging out with me with a bow and arrow could be deadly, could it not?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, fuck this.
Dangerous weapon. It's not just guns, it's any dangerous weapon.
Right. I don't know about all this, man. I think they better just throw this shit.
I get the rest of it. You can't interrupt or interfere with government proceedings. You can't
I don't get the rest of it
intimidate
at all.
another person in exercise of any right.
Why can't I have a tank? Explain to me why I can't have a tank that can shoot 125 millimeter rounds.
You can have the tank, but I don't think anybody that owns one has one that'll shoot 125.
You can't.
Or, I mean,
right,
the cannons are out of service.
Without federal license approval, you can't have a operational gun turret on a tank.
Right.
So please explain to me why not, whenever the Constitution that our country is founded on says the right to keep and bear arms. And that was written at a time whenever the average farmer had the exact same rifle as the average infantryman and the average any branch of the army, right?
Right.
Do you think these state militias that fought in the Civil War, where'd these cannons come from? Do you think they're all manufactured by the federal government and then handed out evenly to the South and the North? No. The states had their own cannons.
No, the people owned them.
Right.
Yeah. So you can still go to the farms in the South with them. They still have them. Still shoot them.
So where do we, I don't understand where the line got grayed at. The point of the whole rule, which, I mean, we could argue about the point of it, I guess, if you wanted to, or whoever wanted to, is so that the people always have the power to overthrow a tyrannical government. Is that not the point of it?
That is the entire point of it. But to answer your question as far as where the line got grayed.
So if I can't own a Black Hawk helicopter or a tank, how the fuck do you expect me to go down and beat up the 1st Infantry Division?
Right. But then there's also that rule about using military on American citizens.
So the thing about direct orders in military and law enforcement is direct orders are only legal or only good. You only have to follow a direct order if it's lawful. So like if you're my commander, you can't come up to me and say, "Hey, I need you to go shoot this guy in the forehead." That's not a lawful order. I'm gonna tell you to fuck right off. You can't write me up. Like nothing's gonna right.
Right.
These are unlawful orders, is the way I view this. Like you can't tell me that I can't own a certain type of gun. You can't, because the Constitution of my country guarantees that I can have it. It doesn't matter. It shall not be infringed. Like that's very clear.
Well, there's a whole thing about that with the Supreme Court and Chevron deference and stuff like that. But back to what we were saying about where the line got grayed is when we stopped being a constitutional republic and started trying to be a democracy.
Well, someone's going to pay the price at some point in time. I don't know what side it is or which branch it is or any of that stuff, but I know that if the people in power keep pushing shit like this, they're going to meet a severe and harsh resistance.
Well, yeah, look at Texas.
Yeah, my uncle.
You know what's going on in Texas right now?
I do, and I, with my family, traveled to Waco, Texas, to Mount Carmel, and I showed them what used to be the Mount Carmel Center. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
And you know, it's what 6 months before that or something was Ruby Ridge. Like,
Right.
where a sniper accidentally shot dude's wife with a perfect shot, like, and his kid got injured too. I'm not look, if you show up to my house and you start shooting through my windows and through my walls and you hurt my family, I'm not coming out either, because you convinced me that you're the enemy. I didn't think you were the enemy. You came to my house and convinced me you were. Take that times 360 million guns. Like, I just, it's not going to come out well. That's the bottom line. And I'm not saying,
It's not.
I'm not calling for revolution or none of that fucking weird shit. Like, I'm not telling you that we should form our own personal private militia and fight. Like, that's not the case. But I'm just telling you, there are people out there who are willing to throw it all away, and there's millions of them, and it's not going to turn out good. And they keep pushing dumb shit like this. There's no need for this law, is my point. The people who follow the laws aren't breaking the laws. So you don't have to keep squeezing the people who follow the laws.
You do, because the people who follow the laws are the ones that are going to be
They're not the
overthrowing a tyrannical government.
Literally, that's within the law, though. They're not breaking the law if they overthrow a tyrannical government.
Well, the tyrannical government will see it as being within the law.
There is no school shooter who has ever been a law-abiding citizen.
No, agreed. Completely agreed.
There is no murderer who's a law-abiding citizen.
Nope.
So
I get that.
By squeezing the laws tighter and tighter and tighter, you are not helping the problem, is my point. No matter what, right now we're just talking about paramilitary activity and firearms and whatever, but across the board, talk about DUIs. Nobody who ever got in their truck and drove home and blew a .25 was a law-abiding citizen. You drove drunk.
Yeah.
You either got caught or you didn't, and it goes across the board. You either went to Indiana and got fireworks or you didn't. Like, it's once you break the law, the laws don't apply to you because you're a lawbreaker. Like, so changing the law doesn't make you less of a lawbreaker. It only
I completely agree with you there, but it's more about taking away the guns than it is anything else.
Right. Well, I'm just one last.
They don't take away the car and they don't take away the alcohol.
Right. Actually, do you remember when that officer got killed on the interstate by my house?
Yeah. You mean several years back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The family of the officer sued the bar that let the drunk driver leave.
Right, I remember that.
I always found that crazy. Like, they're operating a business. Their job is to sell things, food and booze, to people. The dude bought several French fries and several beers. Like,
well, that's no different than
were they supposed to
suing gun manufacturers.
Yeah, right. It's, I don't know. Anyways, we're fucking done talking about that because we're not gonna polarize our TV show too much. But yeah, I'm just saying that everyone needs to be more tolerant of each other. I don't know where Americans started hating each other so fucking hard. Cowboy said a good thing last week. He said September 12th, 2001 was the best America we've ever, probably all of us have ever lived in, right? I don't know why we hate each other so much. It's crazy. But
I don't get it either. It's a slippery slope, and
I said this on the show 17 different times. I don't care if you're gay. If you want to be gay and you want to go marry a dude, go marry a dude. It does not affect my life at all. Don't require me to show up to your wedding though. Like, if you're allowed to do what you believe in, allow me to not partake in what you believe in. That's it. And I'm not saying I don't believe in gays. I don't give a shit. I truly don't have an opinion. If you don't want to have a gun, don't have a gun. I'm not going to force you to have a gun. I'm not going to force you to join the military. You know what I mean? Like, pretty much we should be able to have the liberty to do what we want. And I'm not using the word freedom on purpose. We should have the liberty. And that's the part that we got to stop taking away from each other. We got to stop taking each other's liberties. Like,
that's what I was talking about between the constitutional republic and democracy. It should be about individual liberties, not about the government ruling over.
No, not it should be. It is. And if you're not part of that, then you're not part of it.
Well, the government isn't a part of it. They see it differently.
Well, at some point in time, they'll be asked to evacuate. Is where it's going to end up. I mean, there's no two ways about it. It's, if they keep going crazy shit like this, you're gonna find out who the crazies are.
Yeah, the people who care.
Right. Moving on to news of the week. I have so much to talk about. We might have to take another break because I gotta pee. How far into the show are we? I'm trying to look for my timer. Oh, we just took a break like a half hour ago. I'll hold my pee for a little bit. News of the week. Lawmakers race to approve temporary funding bill to keep the VA offices open. This article is by Svetlana. Oh boy. Shkolnikova. Svetlana Shkolnikova. Anyway, she's from the Stars and Stripes. The threat of partial government shutdown is looming over Congress this week as lawmakers race to pass a temporary spending bill that would keep the Department of Veterans Affairs open. A stopgap spending measure needs to pass the Senate and House by Friday to maintain funding for Veterans Affairs, military construction, and other federal agencies and programs without interruption. The Senate on Tuesday took the first step in advancing the bill to extend funding for the agencies through March 1st and aims to pass the legislation on Thursday, but the House has yet to take action. The bill announced by congressional leaders on Sunday would also keep spending levels flat for the Defense Department through March 8th as lawmakers negotiate a $1.66 trillion bipartisan funding agreement for all agencies for the rest of the fiscal year, which ends September 30th. Oh, that's supposed to be Senator, not Senate. Senator. Oh, nope, never mind. Senate Majority Mark Schumer warned Wednesday that chaos in the House, where hard-right conservatives have rebelled against spending measures that do not contain cuts for immigration reform, could derail the legislation. Members of the House Freedom Caucus, a group of far-right Republicans, have said that they would prefer a shutdown to a continuation of the government's spending priorities of the previous Democrat-led Congress, calling the stopgap bill a surrender. Only in a bizarre world of the hard right, it is a surrender to keep the government open, Schumer said. Only in the twisted logic of MAGA extremism is it a disaster to extend funding to the VA so the VA offices can remain open. Food inspectors remain on the job. Nutrition funding remains in place. The impact of a shutdown on the VA would be largely limited to several thousand employee furloughs and the shuttering of offices that provide career counseling and transition assistance services, including the GI Bill hotline. I'm going to take a little pause right there. So do you guys remember last October, I think it was, whenever we were trying to pass a budget and the Republicans would not sign off on a budget that included any sort of money pre-approved for Ukraine, right? That was the basis of the government shutdown that was looming over our heads. Then the Democrats were saying, well, it's not really a government shutdown, and the VA is not going to lose any services. So if we have to shut down the government, it's going to be okay for the VA people. Now the same Democrats are coming around saying, nope, if the government shuts down, the VA is going to be fucked. We're fucking our veterans if the Republicans do this to us. It's so funny. The same people are flipping the same story. All the VA is going to lose is a couple of hotlines. Like, first of all, college is already in session. No one's calling for a GI Bill right now. But that's their advertisement for Republicans are assholes. Is that the VA is a nationwide program going to lose 3,000 jobs? Like, people that work hotlines is what they're going to lose. No veteran is going to go without care. No hospital is going to go without doctors. No disabled veteran is going to go without a paycheck. No disabled veteran is going to go without transportation. Nothing. Just so you know. To continue, medical centers would remain open and medical and benefits processing work would continue because Congress in 2022 approved the advanced funding for them through the fall. If a stopgap spending bill is not processed by February 2nd, however, paychecks to troops would stop and Defense Department employees would be furloughed. House Speaker Mike Johnson, Republican from Louisiana, has faced pressure from the far Republicans to renege on the temporary spending deal, but said Wednesday that a stopgap measure was necessary to give Republicans more time to insert conservative priorities into the final budget legislation. We're not going to get everything that we want, but we're going to stick to our core conservative principles, he said. We're going to advance fiscal stewardship. I regard this as a down payment on the real reform. Quote, the spending fight ahead will involve the 2024 budget for the Pentagon and the VA, as well as 10 other appropriation bills. If you guys remember talking last year about money for the VA, they'll never cut off the money for the VA. It's pre-approved forever. That's it. Like, it's in the law now. It's pre-approved forever. The VA is always going to be funded. So even if the government shuts down, the VA is going to be funded. Period. They're just using this as some sort of like flex, basically, to make the taxpayers think that veterans are going to be hurting somehow. We're not. Okay, it's okay. Everything's fine. And let's be honest, no one needs the fucking House or the Senate anyway. So shut down. Take a vacation. Don't pay yourself, please. The House's version of the defense spending bill contained measures considered non-starters in the Senate, including provisions that would overturn the Pentagon's abortion access policy for troops and slash Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin's salary to $1. Abortion access policy for troops. So what they're talking about is federal funded abortion for female troops would get cut. So we would not only would we be killing less babies, we would also not be paying to kill less babies. I'm telling you, it's a crazy world we live in. An effort to insert the abortion access ban into the 2024 National Defense Authorization Act was ultimately rejected by lawmakers during the bipartisan bicameral negotiations. The legislation, which outlines policies for the Pentagon, was approved by Congress and signed into law by President Joe Biden last month. So, you're paying taxes, you are paying to kill babies of female soldiers who get pregnant while on duty or on their duty stations, etc. Fan-fucking-tastic. Tell me how fucking dumb that is. Pardon language. You can read the full article here. Alright, let's see here. Well, I want to take another break.
Take one.
I gotta pee, man. Yeah, find me a, let's find a video we can put in here. Let's see, I should be able to do Firefox, YouTube. You guys want to watch a video on? I'll just search for fun. Paramilitary training in Zambia. Yeah, I bet they're bad as fuck. Nope. Okay, that was a mistake. Don't search that. Timberlake, I know that dude's still making music. Ooh, I know what we'll look up. We'll see if we can get sued by the Pat McAfee show. This dude's my favorite. See if we can find like a 3-minute clip from him just so I can go take a piss real quick. 8 minutes, 5 minutes. Ooh, we're getting closer. 9 minutes, we're getting farther away. 3 hours. No. Ooh, I know what we'll do. Dang, that's 10 minutes. Alright, hell with it. We'll watch this one. Let's see. It's 4 minutes. That's
when Doug and Andre came to TurboTax,
we navigated a turbulent housing market by
buying a motorhome.
I made their move count. We've guaranteed 100% accurate taxes for millions of new
Is that within my
homeowners.
window? Oh, it's a little big, but
Intuit TurboTax.
Intuit TurboTax.
I will say,
Pat,
be right back, guys. And fellas, that if the Super Bowl is Baltimore and San Fran, and I tell you what, that Super Bowl 59 emblem better have jet green on it, because I know you've seen that one, Connor. That's a real interesting.
Yeah. Well, let's not get into that today.
What are we talking about?
What happened?
What's the Jet 59? What you just tied the Ravens and the Niners?
Don't worry.
In the Super Bowl 59 into something.
Well, not like the logos, look at the colors, team colors that have been in.
Look at the colors.
Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. The Ravens and the Niners. It's purple. It's red.
Mm-hmm. Bring it up, Foxy or somebody back
Seats
there.
on it.
Bring up Super Bowl 58.
You'll see it.
The emblem, put on the screen, and then bring up 57 and 56.
This has something to do with the Epstein list that came out.
Feels like. Feels
That's
like.
supposed to be coming out soon.
Look, this guy's been waiting in his wine cellar.
Yeah.
I've been waiting in my wine cellar for this thing.
A lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, are really hoping that doesn't.
All right. Obviously, a clip from this particular program was run on Jimmy Kimmel's show whenever Aaron brought up the list, and then Jimmy mocked him for it. Aaron has not forgotten about that, but here we are, sitting right in front of that nice bottle of scotch. What do you say? I'm waiting to celebrate something.
Oh, yeah. Something
He's been waiting
That's
for
the one.
You've been waiting.
Hey, I'll tell you what, if that list comes out, I definitely will be popping some sort of bottle.
Hey, you've been calling for it for a few years now. Anyone else notice this? Oh.
My God.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They've known. They've known for years.
See what they're talking about? The colors match?
I'm saying, and Nick, that 59 better be jet green. That's all I'm saying.
Interesting.
Well, unless it's Colts blue. Remember, we got Anthony Richardson coming.
Could be. Patriots blue might be there, too.
I don't know. You've been jumping on the Minshew train, I feel like.
I love him. I do. I love. He shakes his shoulders.
Team loves him.
He'll throw a pick. Who cares? He'll just go right in there. He is awesome. This guy is phenomenal. Legitimate. What they did to the Raiders this.
You see the colors on that?
Yeah, I did.
The past 3 Super Bowls, the logo that's made before the Super Bowl has been made the same color as the teams who go to the Super Bowl. So if it's 49ers and Ravens this year, it will be the 3rd year in a row that that's happened.
It's all staged.
Yep, that's what he's saying. Oh, I gotta find a hook.
Well,
there we go.
you throw in the some of them ref calls. It could be
Oh man, dude, the refs have been terrible this year.
because they're paid to be.
Every year, like.
It's been getting worse over the last few years. I mean, it didn't you used to get one here and there, but it didn't used to be like it is now.
Yeah, like that one time Seattle won against Green Bay with the interception in the end zone. They called for a touchdown.
Yeah.
That was terrible. All right, so we got the American Legion's 5 things to know, but we got it twice because I did it 2 weeks in a row. So here's the links in chat for that. If anybody wants to read the full articles, I'm just going to share them both. I'm going to read the long and the shorts of them, so probably don't need to go and read full articles, but if you want to spend some more time on it, that's what you got. The Pentagon released new details Sunday about Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin's continued hospitalization, saying he had a medical procedure on December 22nd, went home a day later, and was admitted to intensive care January 1st when he began experiencing severe pain. The latest information came as members of both parties in Congress expressed sharp concerns about the Secretary of Austin's that's the language, and that's terrible. About Secretary Austin's hospital stay, and the fact that the president and other senior leaders were kept in the dark about it for 5 days. So what has happened is this guy's had such medical problems that he's been hospitalized, and he's the defense secretary, and they hid it from the president. And apparently the president is so out of the loop that people hide shit from him. That's it. That's all I'm saying. North Korea fired artillery shells near its tense sea boundary with the South on Sunday as the influential sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un mocked the South's ability to detect its weapon launches. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff dismissed Kim Yo-jong's statement as a comedy-like vulgar propaganda meant to undermine the South Korean people's trust in military and Stoke divisions. I have no idea what Stoke divisions, but whatever. North and South Korea are fucking with each other again and poking some fun at each other, sounds like. Hezbollah has struck an air traffic control base in northern Israel. The Israeli military said Sunday and warned of another war with the Iran-backed militant group. The increase in fighting across the border with Lebanon as Israel battles Hamas militants in Gaza gave new urgency to U.S. diplomatic efforts as Secretary of State Anthony Blinken prepared to visit Israel in his latest Mideast tour. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has opened his 3rd day of meetings on an urgent Mideast diplomatic mission to prevent Israel's war against Hamas in Gaza from exploding into a broader regional conflict. Blinken was meeting Monday with United Arab Emirates leader Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed before traveling to Saudi Arabia for talks with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, aimed at enlisting the key Arab leaders in a push not to only keep the war contained but also prepare for post-conflict Gaza's future. A new battalion of Ukrainian soldiers began training Sunday at the U.S. Army's training grounds in Gryffindor. The hell? An effort that coincides with the arrival of a new contingent of American soldiers to lead the initiative. About 500 Ukrainian troops are taking part in the training, which will involve everything from combined arms training at the squad level up to large-scale maneuvers that will accumulate with a battalion force-on-force exercise. Colonel Martin O'Donnell of the U.S. Army Europe and Africa spokesman, the U.S. Army Europe and Africa spokesman said in a statement on Saturday. That's a made-up spot, right? Hey, Colonel, we're going to appoint you to be the U.S. Army Europe and Africa spokesman. Does the Navy and Marines and Air Force and everybody else have a U.S. Army Europe and Africa spokesman? I think that's just, he's somebody's buddy and got that job. Anyways, on Friday, the 155th Armored Brigade Combat Team for the Mississippi Army National Guard took command of the Joint Multinational Training Group Ukraine mission in Germany. Hell yeah, Mississippi, go get them. From Washington. The 10-day search to rescue 2 Navy SEALs lost in the Arabian Sea during a mission to board a ship and confiscate Iranian-made weapons has ended, and the sailors are now considered deceased, the U.S. military said on Sunday. In a statement, U.S. Central Command said the search has now been changed to a recovery effort. The name of the SEALs have not been released as family notifications continue. Ships and aircraft from the U.S., Japan, and Spain continuously searched more than 21,000 square miles, the military said, with assistance from the Fleet Numerical Meteorology and Oceanography Center, the U.S. Coast Guard Atlantic Area Command, University of San Fuego, Scripps Institute of Oceanography, and the Office of Naval Research. Quote, "We mourn the loss of our 2 naval special warfare warriors, and we will forever honor their sacrifice and example," end quote. From General Eric Correa, head of U.S. Central Command. Our prayers are with the SEALs, families, friends, and U.S. Navy, and the entire Special Operations community during this time. According to officials, the January 11th raid targeted an unflagged ship carrying illicit Iranian-made weapons to the Houthi rebels in Yemen. Officials have said that the team was boarding the ship. One of the SEALs went under in the heavy seas, and a teammate went in to try and save him. So, man overboard, and the other guy tried to save his life, what it sounds like. So, may those 2 rest in peace. And thank you for your service. Iranian-backed militants attacked an airbase housing U.S. and Iraqi troops in western Iraq on Saturday, U.S. Central Command said. The latest incident targeting U.S. forces as tensions flare over Israel's war in Gaza. The militants fired rockets and ballistic missiles at Ain al-Assad Air Base in Iraq's Anbar province around 6:30 p.m. local time, CENTCOM said in a statement. Most of the missiles were intercepted by the base's air defense systems, the statement said, adding that some had landed at the base. One Iraqi service member was wounded. I'm so sick of talking about Iran. I'm ready to go fuck these dudes up. Anyways, North Korea said Sunday that Russian President Vladimir Putin expressed his willingness to visit the North at an unspecified early date as countries continue to align in the face of their separate, intensifying confrontations with the United States. North Korean Foreign Ministry highlighted Putin's intent for a visit following North Korean Foreign Minister Cho Sun-hoo's meeting with Putin and Russian Foreign Military Sergei Lavrov in Moscow last week. So North Korea and Russia continue to bolster their relationship against the United States. Saudi Arabia's top diplomat has said the kingdom will not normalize relations with Israel or contribute to Gaza's reconstruction without a credible pathway to a Palestinian state, a non-starter for Israel's government. Prince Faisal bin Farham's remarks in an interview with CNN broadcast late Sunday were some of the most direct yet from Saudi officials. Taiwan said Monday that 6 Chinese balloons either flew over the island or through airspace just north of it, while Chinese warplanes and Navy ships were also detected in the area. The dispatch of such balloons, which generally disappear into the Pacific East, appears to be on the rise, though their purpose has not been publicly announced. There was a time a couple of years ago where there was like some Chinese war balloons that flew over our country, right?
Yes, there was.
Did we ever figure out what the hell that was about?
They didn't tell us.
Spy balloons or some shit?
Yeah.
Like, is that a real thing? A spy balloon? Like, come on. Come on, guys.
Especially when we have satellites.
Right. It's so dumb. Oh, other topics. All right, this is our last group of topics to breach. January 6, 2021. There's tons of information out there and a bunch of new documentaries coming out. We are going to watch the trailers for 3 documentaries. So the first one is called 4 Hours at the Capitol, and it is the viewpoint from people that were inside the Capitol during the harassment, or whatever you want to call it. Not really an attack, right? I mean, I guess it could be an attack. 5 people died. I don't know who died, but anyways. The middle one is called The Insurrectionist Next Door. And then the last one is called The Real Story of January 6th, Part 2, The Long Ride Home. That's about the people who are being arrested and prosecuted. So, join me in watching these trailers. And let's see here. Tab.
January 6th.
Oh, yeah, perfect. No ad. All right, here we go.
January 6th started off pretty much like any other day. It wasn't until I started listening to the speeches that I felt that day was going to be a bad day.
You have to show strength, and if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
I work in what should be one of the most secure buildings in the whole world.
It just never occurred to me that a mob would get into the Capitol building.
When you really believe a tyrannical government is taking over the country, you're going to have some crazy stuff go down.
It was soccer moms, truck drivers. It was America.
People with pitchforks, baseball bats sticking out of their bag. People in full, tactical outfits.
Pepper spray started coming out. Gas grenades started going off. It just broke into pure anarchy.
Individuals themselves aren't usually a problem, but when they get together and they create a mob, the mob is the weapon.
To hear the radio transmissions is very chilling.
13 hours, Capitol has been breached.
I had all these thoughts in my mind, could there be a shootout on the United States Senate floor?
Everybody was making a call to someone, the last phone call. I just started to pray.
I have literally bled for this country in combat, and they were all yelling, "You are traitors to your oath, enemy of the people." It was like, how fucking dare you?
They wanted to stop this election. If we were in the way, they were going to kill us to do it.
I didn't think I was going to go home that day.
Communications in line with combat.
Multiple capital injuries.
I just watched her life drain right out of her eyes.
40 or 50 officers battling 15,000 people. I've been a police officer for 2 decades. A mob grabbed him. He was having difficulty breathing.
You don't have to take my word for it. Watch my body-worn camera footage.
Peaceful patriots.
Started getting tased at the base of my skull.
Very frightening situation.
Kill him with his gun.
Pure chaos.
He has raised his edge.
Heart attack, traumatic brain injury.
Take away their weapon.
I still haven't made sense of it.
So that's one. We're not going to advertise for HBO Max too much, I hope. Here's my document. Boy. So that's the one that is kind of from the point of view of the people inside, not only the civilian or political people, politicians, but the security guards and Capitol Police, SWAT teams, whatever, all the people involved. So that's one viewpoint, like we were talking about earlier. This one is called The Insurrectionist Next Door. This is from Nancy Pelosi's daughter, which, yeah, you might be like, we know about Nancy Pelosi, kinda. I know I've got my opinion of her, but who better to get information from than people that might express different opinions or ideas than you, right? So this is another documentary. HBO's putting out a ton of these, by the way. And they don't seem to be biased. I mean, knock on wood, I hope they don't change, but they seem to just be, if anybody wants to put some shit on HBO, like,
So how did you get into the Capitol?
let's do it.
I just walked right in.
January 6th really activated you.
Yeah.
What was it inside of you that made you think, I'm going to go inside the Capitol? I've been on the road meeting some of the Jan Sixers who were sent to jail for what they did that day. Did you go to the Capitol to assassinate my mother? No. You're rocking your MAGA tattoo and your Trump socks.
There we go.
I can see you're taking the sentencing very seriously. You're the first January 6er to walk in and take a felony charge.
It was a peaceful protest that was hijacked.
Johnny, what if you're wrong about everything?
I've been wrong before.
Do you feel like you were a little brainwashed by President Trump?
I feel so remorseful for what I did that day.
The left says that you're domestic terrorists. The right says you're all just tourists. But the United States government thinks you're all insurrectionists.
So, I mean, cool, right? That's Nancy Pelosi's daughter in there, interviewing actual people that were there and that are being charged for these crimes. So, is that an unbiased opinion, you know? I like to think so. I'm ready to watch these. I want to watch them together, guys. I do. I want to do a stream party on my Discord and watch them together. This
Calling the January.
This is the last trailer here. This one is called "The Real Story of January 6th, Part 2: The Long Road Home." So Part 1 is the other one. I think the first one we watched. It's from the people inside. So this is about people who are being prosecuted, I think.
Calling the
this is the one from Epoch TV. This is the one that got me sprung up here. You see my mouse, right? Yeah. Epoch TV. So this is the place I subscribe to, so we could watch these together as a group in Discord. We obviously can't watch the actual movies on a Twitch stream. I'll get canned for that for sure. But this is it.
Calling the January 6th investigation the biggest investigation in FBI history.
There are more than 1,100 arrests, and they show no signs of slowing down.
When you take an oath, you have to abide by it.
They're just going to identify you on video, arrest you, and then figure out what the evidence is after that.
Those involved must be held accountable.
He's an innocent man, and he has been punished for something that he never did. Every day you wake up and you're like, how did I get out of bed today?
You have to stay away from the word patriot now because that's a terrorist organization.
We interviewed 2 whistleblowers from the FBI.
I sacrificed my dream job to share this information with the American people.
That siege was criminal behavior, plain and simple, and it's behavior that we, the FBI, view as domestic terrorism.
We started with death threats, the hate mail.
I don't care what they do to me, but I do care what they do to my family.
Our family struggles every day.
And it's going to change narratives no matter what your political perspective is.
So his last words were, it's going to change the narrative no matter what your political perspective is. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, no matter what your political perspective is, let's get this information. You know, let us form our own opinions.
More about truth and fact.
What's that?
It's more about truth and fact.
Right. And I like that. So, like, I'm willing to watch it because the same people are putting out different sides of the story. Like, that's journalism, right? It's supposed to be unbiased. Like, here's what we have. We don't know if it's fact or not, but like the last one, the real story of January 6th, part 2, is based on all of the recently unclassified, I guess, footage from the incident. So they've made a part 2 with the unclassified footage now. But I want to I want to watch it all. I want to watch it all as a group on maybe, I think, February 3rd. I don't know how long we'll be around. Maybe we'll do a show on February 3rd for our 1-year anniversary, and then watch the documentary together. I mean, it's definitely something that we need to.
Dude. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I haven't watched it, and so I gave Speedy a subscription to it as well for being our very first Patreon supporter to TV Epoch Times. So he's had the opportunity to watch it. I asked him not to, so we could all watch it together. But hopefully, we can get some people in there and watch it together and talk about it. You know, shit, we could do a 6-hour show if we want. I mean, it could all be on the show. We could if we got people who want to jump on camera and like I said, we can't stream the audio or video from it, but we can stream our reactions. People can watch it with us in real time, whatever. But we'll figure something out. But definitely, I think they look like good documentaries. Let's see here. Our last article of news for the week. Robert Danley, a U.S. Customs and Border Protection official, stated in the Speedy says I have not watched it yet. That a boy, Speedy. We'll watch it together. February 3rd. Make a date. Robert Danley, a U.S. Customs and Border Protection official, stated in the filing that without the boat ramp agents had no way to monitor the area. What are we talking about here? I gotta skip ahead here. Oh, Texas erects a new border barrier in dispute with the Biden administration. So, Biden administration basically told these guys, stop, in Texas, they told them, stop blocking the immigrants. Let them just come in. And Texas kind of just said, yeah, fuck that. So, Robert Danley, a U.S. Customs and Border Patrol official, stated in the filing that without a boat ramp, agents had no way to monitor that area and no practical options for responding to migrants who may be in distress. So basically, immigrants who are coming across the river, you know, if they get stuck in the river or the river's frozen or they're drowning or whatever, without the boat ramp being open, that the Border Patrol had no way of getting in the water and saving these people. Even though that was against Biden administration doctrine or whatever, ruling, they kind of did anyways. The dispute is part of a broader standoff between the Biden administration and Texas Governor Greg Abbott over a record number of migrants illegally crossing the border since Biden took office in 2021. Texas has increasingly sought to implement its own border controls, which have historically been legal domain of the federal government. In one of Abbott's more prominent moves, the state since 2022 has bussed some 100,000 migrants from the border to Democratic strongholds further north, including Chicago and New York. So I think everybody probably remembers whenever the New York mayor says we are a harboring city and a harboring state and we accept all immigrants seeking refuge and blah blah blah. Well, no one's coming in to New York from Canada. I mean, I'm sure some are, but the numbers are astronomically lower that are coming in from Texas, from Mexico. So Texas bust 100,000 illegals to Chicago and New York, and whenever these illegals show up in New York, it's funny because it was almost like 1 year later, the New York mayor, the same guy, comes up and says, "We've got to do something about these illegal immigrants. These guys are terrible." Abbott, in a Friday press conference, said Texas has the legal authority to control entry to any location within the state, including Shelby Park and Eagle Pass. The authority is being asserted with regard to the park and Eagle Pass, Texas, to maintain operational control of it, the governor said. I don't get a whole lot of my articles from Reuters, but this one I did get some research from Reuters. The link is in the comments. Reuters, I feel like, kind of tends to be guided. They kind of want you to read their stuff in a certain light and understand it in a certain light. So I use them a whole lot, but this one kind of seemed to be fair. It was a lot of quotes, so that's what we want is facts, right? Quotes. I gotta change. Let's see. It's not gonna be Saturday, right? Recap and close time. The next episode I'm terrible with this. Will be on Saturday. Let's hope to have a good one together. I also have some giveaways to do, so spread the word. Saturday, we're gonna do an episode. I'm gonna say earlier than normal. I would like to do like 3 o'clock. That way, if we do a 3 or a 4 hour episode, it's not gonna impede on people's bedtimes and stuff. But I do have stuff to give away for this episode. So let's tell our friends. Let's draw a big crowd. Let's get the Patriot View out there and let's celebrate our 1 year together in a magnificent sort of way. If you've missed any of our past episodes, check in our chat. There's the link to our YouTube. Every single episode except for episode 4, which we had special guest Rosanna on there, and I think my internet went down, or Cowboys internet, whoever was hosting our internet went down, so we didn't get to post that one because it came up as like 8 different episodes because our internet kept connecting and disconnecting. So the whole show with Rosanna Powers really didn't get broadcasted that well. We also have a Patreon up and running, so if you can find it in your hearts and wallets to support the stream, please visit patreon.com/PatriotView. The only money I've spent from that so far is for a subscription to Epoch Times to watch the trailers that you guys just watched with me, and we're going to be able to watch the entire documentaries together. So please reach out and support the show if you can. If you or someone you know needs to talk or needs information for a veteran, please reach out. We have several ways to get a hold of me. I don't know everything for sure, but I can find it out. So here's the 3 ways to get a hold of me. We got email, Discord, and Facebook. I monitor Discord and Facebook the most, email the least, but I still check my email once a week. So if you absolutely need to talk to someone about anything right now, reach out on Facebook and Discord. Probably Discord, honestly. There's veteran help channels on Discord, and we've got several moderators, Speedy, Meat Shield, Cowboy, who if they see a message that needs urgent attention, they will reach out to me via cell phone, and we'll get you the help you need for sure. Again, the document that we followed. You're not a Discord mod. Meat Shield says he's not a Discord mod. Yeah, you are.
I'm a Discord mod. I'm not a Patriot View mod.
You were a Patriot View mod. Anyway, you're a Discord mod. That's the point. Is you can see any message in Discord. So
Yeah, I caught that.
If you saw something that you were like, hey, maybe I need to know about this, you can tell me. The document from this entire episode is pinned at the top. Check it out. And our break video is courtesy of the National Geographic. I did not ask them for permission, but you know, it's all good in the hood. Speedy or Meat Shield, will one of you guys check out Twitch and see if there's anyone that he's raided today? We'll find a raid, and if you guys can't find a raid, no big deal. We've ended the show before without it, but we're done for the day. Thank everybody for joining me. I got to go to work, so I got 9 hours of work ahead of me. I hope to see you all.
I don't have nobody on.
You don't have nobody on? Okay. Well, that happens sometimes. I could check real quick, I guess. I am live. Yeah, I know. Let me see here. We got Ghost Rider on. Ghost Rider. Are you... Speedy, you in there? Speedy's in there. It's a Ghost... I'm trying to get his full name. Ghost Rider _gaming 40. That's who we're going to raid today. So let me get this stuff typed in there. Raid. Ghost Rider. What did I say? _40? Gaming _40. Alright, a raid has been created. Thank you all for coming. And now we're going to our credits. Thank you all for watching. If anyone you know would like to be on the show, please reach out via Discord, email, or Facebook at PatriotViewTTV@gmail.com. Discord link and Facebook links are there. Veterans, if you need to talk, call a brother, reach out to our team via Discord, or call the Veterans Crisis Line by dialing 988, going to veteranscrisisline.net for online chat, or texting 838-255. You all are invited to join us for NASCAR, NFL, NHL, and now Epoch Times viewing. Discord link usually in the chat. Please reach out if you guys need it. Please check out our Patreon at patreon.com/PatriotView. I would be so grateful if you could make a donation. Big thanks to the Patreons who support this page with the donation. Speedy, Cake the Head, and J Brothers are our 3 continual Patreons. I really appreciate your guys' support, and as you see, I'm open with the money, and hopefully we will continue to use it for things to benefit the show. Special thanks to Verdict for their music for the intro video. And as I always say, don't talk about it, be about it.
They got 2 suppression mines in there.
Are we off?
I think ain't that a Skitter bomb?
Who's motorboating? Me. Package.
Wish I was.
Pretty much always.
This thing is hard in here. What the hell? How are you supposed to control this thing?
Right.
Are we off the air now?
Yep.
There we go. I got it now. Alright.
Should just be on his.
Who's shooting?
What's up, Patriot?
Yeah, I closed it.
Appreciate the raid. Welcome in, Raiders. How's everybody doing tonight? How was your stream, man? We just ratting it up on.
Yeah, when you start talking about guns and guns,
I mean, dude,
let me get
keep going
for
forever.
Spider's money.
And I could not find that fucking ship.
Stack right here too.
I got $3,000. Right
Yeah, I
here.
gotta find it. I don't know which one it was.
Welcome in, Raiders. Welcome in.
I can find steamliners that were full of kids and stuff,
do
but
iRacing,
no
right?
sailboat.
If I remember right.
The one in particular being
Don't die. You do not see me.
evacuating
Don't
children
see
from
me.
Britain.
Don't see me. You do not see me.
I am not here for you to see.
You do not see
Or
me.
you cannot see me. No, you cannot. Should I grab this bounty?
Oh. I can get a UAV too.
We'll wait till we get our load,
Yep.
and then we'll grab the bounty. No hard feelings.
You gonna be here for a few minutes?
Good. Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Appreciate the raid, bro. Appreciate you coming through, man.
I'm talking to this dude. What's that?
Said you gonna be here for a few minutes?
Like 12 more minutes probably. I gotta get ready for work. I gotta leave at like 10.
Alright, I was just gonna run to the bathroom, that's all.
You
I
what?
think you do
Going
iRacing if
hospital?
I remember right. 'Cause I know
Just gonna
you
run to the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
Brian the stream. APG.
Oh, Father. Okay.
It's me.
Okay.
It's just
I'm
me.
dropping a muni. Holy shit.
Talk show, but I am.
He was my life partner.
Patriotic Veteran.
Alright.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
my life
Okay,
partner.
okay.
That was my life partner.
That's my life partner.
So upsetting.
Oh,
No
Geovest. Just add
And
water.
No pet fire.
Did somebody throw a
Oh, I already
Semtex?
have one. There's already one here.
Did
No.
No.
Someone did.
Yeah, somebody
didn't.
threw a Semtex.
Geovest
Get
here.
out of it.
And a med vest there.
And to get him to race on dirt, yeah.
Dave doesn't like the Geovest. Oh no, he's just gonna be resin my ass. Yeah.
Where was it?
Geovest there.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Papa wants one.
Yeah, he don't do a whole lot of dirt oval anymore. I mean, he does, but not like he used to.
We gotta maybe
Thank
get that zip at town. Too damn quiet. I don't like this shit. Yeah,
Oh,
I don't think it's eerie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's way too quiet.
I'm gonna at least get to that bathroom, get some more stimmies. Ooh, extra selfie.
Nice.
That'll do.
Somebody's chasing me?
Yeah, I'm getting beamed from out on the pier.
Well, I got one down. I got one down. He's in between the two buildings right here.
I'm just trying to catch up to these dudes. They're halfway across the fucking map.
He went in the water. He's down, Jeff.
Nice.
Sister's in the water over here.
Yep, yep. Oh, you do it on YouTube? Oh, yeah. I gotta get ready for work. Patriot, appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you coming in with the raid. Always appreciated. Hopefully you have a good night at work and or a good day wherever you're from.